Live your life within the moment. And don't go wait until the morning. You never know when it is over. All that I know is we'll get older. So let us dance this night away. To the groove and the light that flickers. We get lost in the crowd, it's getting thicker. We get away from the drinks and chatter. Haven't said a word, but it doesn't matter. Feel the air get thinner. I'm standing in a blurry dream. No one else can see us. Live your life within the moment. And don't go wait until the morning. You never know when it is over. All that I know is we'll get older. So let us dance this night away. I'm standing in a blurry dream. No one else can see us. So let us dance this night away.
Good evening and welcome to Be More Super Live. I'm your host, Brian, as always, and we are joined by the sponsors of our show, the wonderful people at Propstore. And it's that time of the year that we're joined by Chuck Costas. Chuck, welcome back to the show, sir.
Thank you, Ryan. We'd love to show you guys what we've got in our latest auctions.
And the latest auction starts on the 26th of May, and there's over 1,200 lots.
Don't skip ahead
March.
to May. It's March.
Sorry,
26th.
that is my mistake. I don't know where May came from. Maybe you should start an auction in May.
You're looking
you
for
probably
your
do.
Summer vacation already. I know. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. 26th of March to the 28th of March. So this is going to be an epic auction with over 1,200 lots. And as always, we are giving our viewers and everyone around the world a little look into some of the breathtaking pieces we have on offer. So, Chuck, where are you going to take us first? What are you going to amaze us with?
Let's start in a galaxy far, far away. I think most people always love Star Wars, and I think Star Wars is where we start, and it's some of the highlights of our auction. I think most people would recognize this piece right here. Brian, take a good guess. Who do you think used this one in Star Wars?
Oh, that is the iconic piece that I have seen many, many times in publicity shots with the good character Chewbacca, and it's an iconic piece.
It is. This is Chewbacca's bowcaster. It was used, believe it or not, in 3 of the first Star Wars movies. So Return of the Jedi, Empire Strikes Back, and the original Star Wars. And it's very rare to actually find a prop that is used that much across that many films. You would think that there were multiples of these, but what we found is that this particular bowcaster was sort of reinvented for each of the movies. It was actually came out of Bapti, which provided a lot of the weapons for movies. And I guess over time had evolved. And when we first encountered this, what we noticed was the stock, the bump stock that's here at the end of the bowcaster. And this was an extension that was made specifically for Return of the Jedi. Because Peter Mayhew was so large, over time they realized that he needed an extra long, I guess, an extension for this in order to be able to wield it correctly. And so there were modifications that were made. But as you can see, it's this part here is very frayed, and this happened over time. It is a combination of replica parts. Because Bapti disassembled it, reassembled it over time, it was natural for these types of weapons to sort of get reassembled in different ways and have different parts. But we went to the extra care of making sure that it was painstakingly, I guess, restored back to its condition at Return of the Jedi. And this is the one and only bowcaster that Chewbacca yielded in those first 3 Star Wars films.
That is incredible. It really is. And that is lot 358, which is going to go under the hammer on the first day. I mean, this is screen match. So, a quick question. I mean, what is it like when you're trying to screen match an item and all of a sudden you find it? I mean, what sort of feelings go through you when you actually identify something that can be screen matched?
I mean, especially with something like this, because there's many people that, I think over the years people have claimed, or, anybody could claim that they have a bowcaster, and to find the one. I think it was for us finding this in Return of the Jedi was eye-catching. But then once we realized it was in Return of the Jedi, we went back and watched the other films and looked for other pieces of evidence that had been used in those previous films, and we're able to find that. And that was an even bigger bonus. But I think for screen matching, that is the ultimate. To know that this was used on screen, this is the one, or at least one of the ones. And for fans, it gives them that extra bit of certainty that they found the ultimate grail. And I think for us to find that this was used in all 3 films gives us, insight into the fact that you're probably not going to find another one out there. There could have been others that were potentially used in other shots that weren't screen matched. But this is probably the ultimate grail for anybody that is a Chewbacca fan.
And do you think this is going to break records this year in your auction? Because this is estimated between 250 to 5,000. So it's going to, I reckon it's going to do fantastic, because Star Wars will always be popular, because it's ingrained in our memories from years ago to even now, and things are getting scarcer. So do you think this is going to surprise everyone?
I don't know if it's going to surprise everyone. I think we do have it estimated at 250 to 500,000, and that may be conservative given what other things have gone for. As most people know, we sold the Anthony Daniels collection. We had C-3PO's mask that was sold in that, and those went for 800,000 plus. I could see the Chewbacca bowcaster going in that sort of same range. It all depends on who ends up showing up and who bids. But I think what you touched on is the fact that Star Wars, really for modern day films, is sort of the premiere. When you think of, what are sort of the classic films from the 1970s, Star Wars is always at the top of the list. And I think Star Wars will always drive sort of the high prices for what movie props could be. And so I do think buying a premiere prop like this, it may be one price today, it may be 3-5 times that in 10-20 years from now. And I do think people will always remember Star Wars. I think Star Wars is always going to be the film that inspired a lot of modern day filmmakers. And so to have a classic piece from this movie, there aren't that many to have, first of all. But again, if you're a Chewbacca fan, this is really the piece that you want to have.
Definitely, without a doubt. And the Star Wars pieces don't stop there. There is something over your shoulder, which is just amazing. And I wanted to ask, this comes from a collection from, if I get the name right, Gerard Burks, is it? I mean, who is that, and how did you acquire it?
Yeah, I mean, it was somebody that worked on the prop team that after production ended up with this. Now, what is it? Let's start there. This is Luke Skywalker's medal from the very final scene of Star Wars, where you see Princess Leia donning both Han Solo and Luke Skywalker with medals. And so this is one of the 2. There's obviously a second one out, is known to exist, and it is Han Solo's. That has not come up for sale before. But this has never been offered before. I've never seen this before. It is amazing. It is a very, positive scene. And I think the thing is, it really summarizes everything of that movie. When you think back on that scene, it's a very happy scene. Princess Leia giving, sort of commending these for all the work that they did throughout the movie. So it really is the culmination of that first movie in this medal right here. It's interesting in that it's a metal, but it's actually not made out of metal. It looks like it's cast resin that is has gold paint applied to it, but is in immaculate condition given how old it is. And I guess the ribbons at the top are actually made out of material from what could be found on a British military uniform of the time. So interesting to see how they created this quote unquote metal at the time, but very unique. And first time we've ever offered it. And if you're a Luke Skywalker fan, it's pretty awesome. Now, I guess we'll also say it was also worn by Han Solo as well. What we found in doing the research is the behind the scenes photos indicate that they were rehearsing using the two medals interchangeably. At first, I guess during the rehearsal, they actually put this on Harrison Ford. And then later when they actually filmed it, this is the one that actually went to Luke Skywalker, AKA Mark Hamill.
Isn't it amazing though? These items are still like sort of cherished, and we are finding these items and they're coming up for auction. I just think it's incredible because, many films when they strike sets, unfortunately, they don't keep many of the key pieces. It all gets chucked in a bin, and it's really nice to see things like this still around, and hopefully, well, whoever bids on it will cherish it, I am sure. But what a great piece, and that's going to be under the hammer on the first day again, and that is, I've got it here, lots 341 for anyone that's watching, with an estimate between 300 to 600,000, which again,
Yeah.
is going to be amazing. This is what I love about Propstore. You only bring the very best to market. You do the
Well,
work, you screen match, and you've just got an amazing collection of pieces in every single auction.
yeah, and Brian, I guess the big debate here is which of these two would you like to own, or which one might go for more money. I think it's really a debate. Very frankly, there's very few hero props that are associated with hero characters in the movie, as well as costumes. And so I think either of these pieces, both sort of new to market. I guess, what do you think? Which would you rather own, Brian?
Oh, don't ask me that. I remember when you asked
Come
me what
on.
pieces would I like to talk about. Literally, I want to talk about them
Yeah.
all. To be fair, I mean, either. I mean, both. I mean, they're both iconic in their own right. I mean, the end of New Hope is just an iconic scene. It's a wonderful scene as well because you see them all smiling after the journey they've
Hmm.
been through in the film. But then, Chewbacca's, bowcaster, I just think it's an incredible piece, and it's iconic because you see it in a lot of publicity shots, and you see him on film in all three. Oh, that is such a hard question to ask, but I'm sure whoever bids on them will be so happy to have their hands on a
Yeah.
piece of history.
Yeah, I think the right answer is it doesn't matter if you're lucky enough to be able to bid on these, it doesn't matter which one you walk home with. Hopefully you walk home happy. So this one will come up first. This will come up right after it, but it should be an exciting part of our auction coming up. And these will both, as you said, be March the 26th out of Los Angeles, which is where we're based out of. And anybody that happens to be wanting to come to Los Angeles, you're more than welcome to join us. We'll be at the Peterson Automotive Museum doing it live, but also you can bid anywhere in the world by watching the feed that's going to go on and bidding online or on the telephone if you want to sign up for that.
And it's so good fun to watch live as well. And it starts from 5:30 p.m. In the UK each day, and then at 10:30 Pacific time, which I'm sure everyone will be watching and enjoying. So, what other pieces have you got? Because you were surrounded by some amazing
I
pieces.
am surrounded. I'm gonna sort of stay with the Be More Super theme and go to Superman 3 here. This is Superman Christopher Reeve, I guess the one that we all know and love. Not to say that I've heard really good things about the new Superman movie coming out.
Yes.
We don't have to talk about that right now, but I think the one character that said it all, or the actor that said it all was Christopher Reeve. I think to own a Christopher Reeve costume is a dream for any costume collector here. And here we've got a complete costume from Superman 3. Now this is one of the dark costumes, and people say, hey, the colors look a little bit off. Well, for those that remember the movie, obviously, yes, he had started, I guess, turning and turning evil. And with that, there was color changes, and each of the different costumes that you see him wear, it actually changes over time. This is what I believe was the color E. They had them marked on the inside with different color changes. So it is a little bit more purple. You'll notice the belt is not as yellow. This is a little bit more orange up here. There has been some fading. It was on display for a period of time, so there has been some fading to the costume that you can see when you look at the back where the cape covers it. But overall, in fantastic condition for what it is, a true Christopher Reeve, costume piece, and as standing in a really nice way. What
And
do
I
you think
love
about it, Brian?
Oh, I love it. I'm in love with it. I really am. I mean, I love the description where you said that the cape is a flapper cape as well, which is great because people don't realize that when he was flying, they had like a little device in his back that had these prongs, like these wire rods that came out that attached to the cape and would move as well to make it look like the cape was flying. And I just think this, I mean, it's iconic. I mean, when Superman changes and he's in that bar and he's flicking the peanuts at the bottles in the bar, and obviously the fight that he has in the junkyard, I just think it's an iconic part of the film when Superman goes bad. But these costumes are just incredible, and again, to last this long, I mean, I'm not gonna think about how long ago the originals came out because it will make me feel really old, but
What was
it's
that?
just,
80.
oh yeah, go on then.
Gosh, well, 82, I guess it was.
As
That the movie.
Yeah.
I'm trying to 82, 83. And then I'll actually go to the right over here, where you may recognize this as a Superman fan. The Nuclear Man. Mark Pillow was actually just here a few moments ago, and we got to reunite
Oh
him with the
wow.
costume over here. Um, not his complete costume, in that he's missing the sort of the van braces and the cape. Strangely enough, Mark said he had never actually seen a cape ever come out from this, but this is the main costume, screen matched. Very cool. And we also have boots that came from a different source. So if you're a fan of Superman 4, may not ever be everybody's favorite Superman movie, but very cool to have a Superman 3 costume, and then you have a villain. Nuclear Man is pretty
Yeah.
timely these days. You
And
still worry
and
about nuclear
and of
war,
course
Brian.
in the auction you've got a shirt that was worn by the late great Gene Hackman
We do.
in
Yes.
Superman 4, which for any fan of Gene Hackman is devastating news. It was an absolute legend, and he'll always be remembered for so many amazing films. And you've got that up for grabs as well. What I wanted to ask
Yes.
was the Charlie Chaplin shoes. So I'm a big
Yes.
Charlie
Right here.
Chaplin fan. I just think he was an amazing pioneer for what he did. And you've got some shoes there from the Great Dictator, which I just think is just fantastic that you've got hold of these shoes. Where did they come from? And can you tell us anything
Well,
about
they
them?
were. Yeah, so I think originally, and you can go to our catalog to find more of the history. And I apologize if I jumble it a little bit, but I believe these were sold, and you may be able to reference it. I think the 1995 Christie's auction. I think these were kept for a long period of time by folks that were involved in the Chaplin production company. And this is, from what I understand, there's sort of three pairs of shoes that Chaplin himself had sort of picked out. This is the last remaining pair, but these were sold in the auction. And they're now coming back from the person that bought them in the auction back in the 90s. So however many years that's been, almost 30 years at this point in time, since these shoes have been sort of seen the light of day. But as you say, 1940, The Great Dictator, one of Chaplin's greatest films, and we had to go through a lot of different Chaplin films, and in fact, they could have been worn in other Chaplin films. This is his little tramp outfit that everybody remembers him as, but we were able to match to the wear on the shoes themselves in the front of that. And from what I understand, they look very much like if you took a picture of these back in the 1990s, and they did for the cover of that auction. These have survived very well over the years as well, and just amazing to think of classic cinema. Charlie Chaplin is one of those names that you think of, and it's just incredible that you have shoes that are 100 years old at this point in time, maybe, or getting close to being 100 years old whenever these were made. So it's pretty amazing.
And yeah, I mean, that guy was a legend. And as I said, he was a pioneer. He started the wonderful film studios, and you know, he was in such classic films, and to be remembered by Robert Downey Jr. in
Yeah.
Chaplin was incredible. But to see them and knowing that he's worn them, he's worked in them, is just absolutely incredible. Do we know what that hole is for underneath? Just out of curiosity.
This, it's interesting. I hadn't. I would assume it could have been at some point on display in a display, but this obviously looks like wear, as if he'd been worn these shoes many, many times. Now, it could have been distressing that they had done because the character was supposed to be poor, um, but it also could be just wear that he had over the years. So still in very good shape. They are very old shoes at this point in time, but it's just amazing that something from that era still exists today, because there really isn't much that has
No.
survived from those early days. So I do hope that these end up in a museum somewhere. I think these are really museum-worthy pieces that talk to those early days of classic cinema. And if you're a fan too, it's a great thing to potentially own here.
And that is lot 64, with an estimate of 125,000 to 250,000. And then we talk about Ghostbusters, which forever will be one of my
Yes.
favorite childhood movies. And you've got a key piece there, and it's incredible. I mean, if you could
Yeah,
talk us through that one.
I will talk you through it. I'll probably also get a workout as I hold this up. So this is one of the metal aluminum ones that was made for Ghostbusters 1. My understanding is between Ghostbusters 1 and Ghostbusters 2, and I'm now feeling this, is that the ghost traps in some ways were very heavy for Ghostbusters 1. So for the actors, they actually started to make more lightweight versions for Ghostbusters 2. But this was a fully functional ghost trap that lights up, but also sucks. It was also used to open and suck up the ghosts. It also comes on rollers, so I can't roll it very far here, but as you can see here, it kind of works like a vacuum cleaner, and you can roll it. But this is, I would say, probably the best example of a ghost trap that you could find. A lot of other ones are static, don't open up. Sometimes the lights work, but sometimes they don't even have lights at all. But this, if I had to have one ghost trap, this would be the one. It has been screen matched to a scene in 2. And so the thought I had on this was, because the aluminum ones and this one being very heavy metal, these were probably more elaborate to make, and especially the ones that are fully functional, that they reused the fully functional ones between Ghostbusters 1 and Ghostbusters 2. May have made some modifications between that, making it a little bit more difficult to actually screen match this one to Ghostbusters 1. But really one of the best surviving examples of a ghost trap. And the thing, if you could own one thing from Ghostbusters, this is probably the thing I would think of first and foremost.
Definitely, definitely. And then your auction wouldn't be the same without a piece from Back to the Future, because you've brought some amazing pieces, not only in LA, but in your London auction as well. And this is the first time I've ever seen a Mr. Fusion come to auction. I think it's the
Yeah,
first
and I'll
one that I've
point to
seen.
it back there. Yeah, it is, and I think I've seen, as a collector myself, I've seen a few Mr. Fusions supposedly pop up over the years. What I love about this one is it comes from a really great source, someone that actually worked in the prop department back when they were making Back to the Futures 2 and 3. Now, my understanding on these is that the very first movie is at the very end of the movie is where they introduce Mr. Fusion. It's sort of the replacement for the plutonium, and it uses garbage. But when they did Back to the Futures 2 and 3, which they did film back to back, they recreated the Mr. Fusions and used the Krups coffee grinder that is at the top, but actually created they molded the bottom bases of these and actually made the new ones out of, instead of all metal parts, they actually sort of used the first design. So this is from Back to the Future 2. We were able to screen match it based on a paint bubble that was on there. And it actually, I'll go over here and show you. Sorry that you might not be able to see it very well, but it does open up. So you can put that in, put your garbage in there, and then power the reactor. So it is fully functional in that regards. But as far as I know, I've seen one. There's a rumor that Bob Gale has one. He has a table lamp that is made out of one of the Mr. Fusions. The one from number one has never surfaced. I've heard of the one from three existing, but I haven't really seen any other ones. So I think as far as a screen matched Mr. Fusion, you've been looking for one. This is it.
And that would make a very cool like dustbin or trash bin, as you would call over in in the
I
US.
don't know if
Um,
I'd use it as a trash bin.
no,
I like to
no,
think of it
no,
more.
maybe not. But you've got some tires as well from the DeLorean, where when I
We do.
saw them straight away, I thought that would make for an amazing coffee table. Put them both on top of each other
That
with a
is a
glass
great
thing on
idea.
top of it. There you go, a coffee
That,
table. And then before we bid farewell, Greece.
or think about this: it could be a display, and then you put your Mr. Fusion on top of the coffee table
Oh,
with the
there you
tire
go.
inside.
There
That
you
would be
go.
fantastic.
All in one. And then we talk about Grease. Grease is one of these films
Yeah.
that, again, Olivia Newton-John and John Travolta. It's one of those films that has been turned into a musical in so many schools. And I dare ask, have you ever been in Greece, Chuck, at any point in your life?
I have been to Greece, the country that is, back in 1977, and I hope to go. And I think next month I'm planning on going back, but I have not been in the musical Greece. I
Oh,
was Potiphar in Joseph and His Amazing Technicolor Dreamcoat. That was my only sort of acting
it
job
is
that
a
I got
way
to do,
of
but never got to
passage
do.
to be in Greece. I played Sonny at school
Yeah.
in Greece, and I had to learn to play the guitar and play Blue Moon in the
Oh.
production, and that was all inspired by wonderful Greece. I've had the pleasure of interviewing the director Randall Kleiser, who is a wonderful
Oh.
man, and
Excellent.
this film, again tests the test of time. I think the term is, but the T-Birds jacket and the Olivia Newton-John dress. I mean, it can't get better than this.
No, it's great. I think this is one of five, at least in the sequence, there's five actors wearing the T-Birds jacket, John Travolta being one of them. My understanding is that he also wore a jacket that looked like this, or maybe this particular jacket. We have a picture of it with this nylon uh, I guess fabric that's on it, which is unique to it. So you can see that in the premiere that he went to for Greece, and it's labeled for Travolta on the inside, which is pretty fantastic. And then, as you see, we've also got a Sandy Olivia Newton-John dress next to him. So if you're looking for an all-in-one Grease collection, you can come to this auction and walk home with one of each of the different costumes.
And I ask every single year, Chuck, is there a piece that is your favorite?
It's as you always say, it's like picking your kids. Personally, I love the Mr. Fusion. I'm a big Back to the Future fan, and I think that's a really great opportunity. I love the Star Wars pieces, but my budget, I know, is just I'm pretty sure my wife would divorce me if I even tried to make a play for one of those two. So I have to limit myself to, not to say that it's an inconsequential amount to go for the Back to the Future, but she actually likes Back to the Future, so I think that would go well in the family there. So I'm going to stick with that one. But that being said, I actually really like this guy back here too.
Oh,
This is
Gonzo.
Gonzo. Um,
Love
and the chance
Gonzo.
to own an actual Muppet here. This is from Muppets in Space. And for those that were fans of the Muppet Show, I grew up on the Muppet Show, watching it every week. Gonzo, obviously one of the stars of that. And when I went to the Smithsonian in Washington, D.C., they have an amazing Muppets collection.
Yeah.
The Henson family donated, I think, pretty much like one of each of the major puppets to the Smithsonian. So if you're in Washington, D.C. and you love Muppets, do visit the Smithsonian and you might be able to see some. They rotate them through, but they have a number of those in their archives there. But it's very rare to actually find a Henson puppet. This was auctioned years ago, and this is now coming back. But there's very rare to find one. But this is Gonzo from Muppets in Space. This is where they tell the origin of Gonzo. Where did he come from? We find out in this movie he is an alien. But in this particular scene, and what's very cool about this is he gets struck by lightning, which is why his beak is all blackened here. But there's also another special effect to it, which is his eyes lights up. So when he gets struck by lightning, it affects Gonzo and he starts illuminating. And I think that is just an amazing makes it even that much more special to own this particular version of Gonzo.
Do you know what? I've got to say, you must come into work every single day, Chuck, with a big smile on your face, and you must skip through the office doors because it must be a dream job working around so many amazing pieces. I've always said anyone that works at Propstore has won the lottery. I really do
Well,
because
it's pretty amazing. I mean, we started the day, talking about Superman, Superman 3, Superman 4. I'm hanging out with Gonzo today. You make some interesting friends in this business.
you
So
certainly do.
it's been an interesting day, and I would suggest, like I said, if anybody happens to be coming or wanting to come to Los Angeles, you've been looking for an excuse, come to one of our preview events. We have a preview event that's going to be going on at the Peterson Museum on the 25th, which is the night before the auction, and then you can join us for the auction itself. But we'll have these items that I'm showing you today on display there for you to come up and take pictures with in person, as well as hundreds of others. So it is just immersive. You can find some of your favorite things. And the great thing is, if you pay for them, you can actually take them home with you as well. So then you can enjoy them even more. But yeah, it's a lot of fun being around all these things and learning, getting some insights by seeing these. And like I say, the fact that Gonzo's eyes light up, I would never have known that from the movie, but it makes a lot of sense that they created a puppet that was electrocuted and has his eyes light up. So that's pretty cool.
That is awesome. So, if anyone wants to bid on any of these wonderful items, go on to propstoreauction.com or follow the link on this video as you're watching it and go and bid, and you will not regret it, because this is the only way really you can own a piece of Hollywood history. And these pieces literally just go up in value in time. And I'm just jealous of anyone that gets that Superman costume. I've got to say, I just think it's epic. It's my dream to have one in my office. It really is. But Chuck, thank you so much for coming back onto the show and being wonderful sponsors of our show. It's an absolute honor to be connected with Prop Store, and maybe one day I'll come over to LA and say hello to all you guys in the wonderful city of angels. But Chuck, don't go away. I'll say goodbye properly in a moment. Thank you for everyone watching. Please share this. Talk about Prop Store. Remember, you can get 10% off at the Buy Now section on the website by using the code Brian10, which is on the bottom of the screen. But look after yourselves, keep safe, and we'll be back very, very soon in the next coming days with another great interview. Thank you. Good night.